Hello my beautiful friends. I want to share today another recipe with you. This time it's for an African Helix necklace that's got some added bling. It's African Helix that if it's your first project ever, that's fine. But if you've done African Helix before, this kind of kicks it up a notch to show you some different ways to approach the stitch. So here's a picture of what we're doing. And you can have a copy of this recipe by sending me an email and asking for it, or at carolcipher@gmail.com or carol@carolcipher.com, or you can send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and I'll mail you a hard copy. It comes with illustrations and everything you need to know. This video will just help you see it visually. So you're going to want some size 11 seed beads in your main color. You're going to want some size 8 seed beads in your main color, and we call those S and L for small and large. Then you want to have some size 11 seed beads for piping, and we're going to call those P in the recipe. Then later on, when we do the embellishing and kicking up the spiral into more action, you're going to want some 4mm fire polish or crystals. About 50 of those will do. And some drop beads or size 8s and 11s to cause the embellishment. And you'll want your needle and thread, and a skewer for the armature is most useful. So if you have a wooden skewer, like half of one for the Barbie, that will work well, or a knitting needle about a size, I think that would be 9. For the sample, I'm going to use, let me put this down, I'm going to use these large demo beads. So these are going to be my piping S or small piping beads. These will be my main bead, so that's S for small. Then these are the large beads, main color, so those are L for large. And then these will be our piping beads, which is P for piping. So if you just pet or smear the pile of beads across your bead mat, they'll sit in a way that most of their holes are pointing upward. That makes your task a little bit easier. Now I'm kind of looking around for my magic marker. I'll use that for an armature. Here we go. Okay, so we begin the recipe by picking up 1 piping bead, and then 3 of the L's, and then 2 piping beads, and 3 of the S's, and then just 1 piping bead. And I'm going to tie those in a ring and slide them on the armature. So I'm using, for demonstration purposes, these large beads and a tapestry needle and wax linen. You'll use, according to the recipe, a wingspan of your favorite beading thread on a beading needle. So instead of using a stop bead, I'm just going to pinch off the thread, allowing a 12-inch tail so the beads don't slide off. And now I'm going to make a ring out of them. So here's my pinched off tail. I wrap the thread so it crosses the pinched off tail, and I put my thumb on it to keep the 2 threads crossed. I'll use my middle finger to hold the beads away while I execute a half-hitch knot on that little bit of thread of the ring. So I went under the thread, and then I come up through the loop, and that's my half-hitch knot, and I'm pulling that all the way down on the ring before I pull them in opposite directions, the thread and tail, to pull the beads into a ring. So I'm going to slide that on my armature, which maybe a pencil will work better. Okay, so I'll slide them on my armature, and then I'm going to tie those in another knot or 2 because I don't want them to loosen up on me. So fire line, you'll probably need to make a couple of knots. Now, according to your recipe, we're going to mention that if you're a lefty, then you want to hold the armature so the large beads are to the left of the knot, like here. And if you're a righty, hold the armature so that the large beads are to the right of the knot. I'm a right-handed person, so that's what I'll want to do. So I'm just going to flip my armature upside down so that my large beads are now to the right of the knot. And then I take my tail and let it extend along the length of the armature, and I'll take a little bit of masking tape and tape my tail down on the armature. That way I'm not chasing the beadwork around and aggravating myself. We don't want to be aggravated while we're beading. Okay, so I'm going to wind the tape around there barbershop pole style. Pull the tail so the beadwork comes right down to sit on the top of my thumbnail, right at the tape, and I'm ready to go. So referring to page 2, pick up 3L and 2 piping beads. Now I'm just checking to make sure I didn't skip anything. Okay. So we're going to pick up 3 L's and 2 piping beads. You're going to notice it's always going to be 2 piping beads. And skipping past the 3L that are there, you're going to slide your thread up under the thread just before the 2 piping beads. So just like this. I pull my needle all the way up and to the right as a right-handed person, and then I take my new beads and press them up on the armature. I rotate the skewer slightly, and then I see, oh, the small beads are next. So I'm going to pick up 3 small beads, followed by 2 piping. And I'm going to slide my thread up under the thread, past the 3 small beads that are on the ring. But before the 2 piping beads, I pull my thread up and to the right, and then I slam those new beads up on the skewer to sit on top of and slightly to the left of what's there. If you're left-handed, it'll be above and slightly to the right of what's there. So again, I rotate the stick and I see, oh, the next beads that are up are the big beads. So I'm going to pick up 3 L's and 2 piping. And now this time I'm going to ignore all the previous work and only have eyes for the top 2 stitches. So I go past the 3 L's that are there, and I find the thread that's between the L's and the 2 piping. I go under the thread, make sure it stays where I want it. It kind of slipped. Okay, put it back. And then press the new beads on top of and slightly to the left of what's there. Rotate the work. And then I see, oh, we're back to small beads. So I'll pick up 3 small beads, always 2 piping. I'll go past the 3 small beads, under the thread between the small and the 2 piping, and then pull the stitch so it snaps into position and the beads sit on top of and slightly behind what's there. And so it goes. So we're going to do the entire 20 inches or so of beadwork in that way. Then the recipe will tell you how to assemble a magnetic closure at each end. That's my preferred method for closing necklaces. And then we're going to do some embellishing according to page 3 of your recipe. So when we get around to embellishing, you'll start a brand new thread. You're going to start the brand new thread, so we're just going to work from here, and you're going to come up through 2 of the piping beads in the center of the necklace with half of your thread according to the recipe. And you're going to go through the piping beads that sit in between the rows of large beads. Whoops, large beads. So we're going to pick up our embellishment. So let's pretend that our embellishment is an 11, an 11, a drop, an 11, and 11. But your recipe will offer different versions of the embellishment. So we're going to let these new beads that are causing the embellishment to sit in between the rows of large beads. And so we go into, or between the 2 piping beads in that stitch. And so the new beads sit in that channel. So now from where we are, we'll pass through 2 beads. We'll pick up the embellishment, let it lay back across here in the opposite direction, pass through 2 of the piping, and so it goes. And then you'll weave both your threads in. So ask for the printed recipe. This video is just meant as a supplement. And if you're intrigued with this stitch and what you can do beyond its ordinary uses, then check out the beadwork.com interweave.com website. I've done a webinar about African Helix and 2 about polygon stitch that's for sale there. Or perhaps we'll bead together at Bead and Button Show or a bead society or store near you. Until then, thank you for beading with me. Bye.